Hi, this is Ed Troxel. In the last tutorial, we learned how to adjust a composite envelope based upon the value of a velocity envelope. The big issue was it created a lot of points, and we might not want that many points created. So what can we do to eliminate all the extra points? So let's take a look at how we can modify the one that we created last week and set it so that it only creates the necessary points that we need in order to do the same task. So instead of having 1 point for every frame, then we will have 1 point every time it needs to change. So let's take a look at that. Once again, let's go back and look at our add envelope point. We've made a slight change on this, and here you can see I've added a curve type. And in this particular case, we want to set it to hold so that it will stay at that value. So I added both to the new point, a curve type equals curve type, and then for an existing point, the curve equals curve type. So looking back up at our original code, none of this up here has changed. All of this is still the same. We are looking at each event, looking for a selected event, getting the envelope, velocity envelope. If we found the velocity envelope, then we're looking for a composite envelope. If we don't find the composite envelope, then we'll add the composite envelope. Then we set our cursor location and our offset just like we did before. Everything down to there is exactly the same as last week. Now here I've added a double last value and I set it equal to -1. And the reason I picked -1 is it's not one of the two values I'm wanting to use. I mean, I could have put 0.5, I could have put anything, as long as it's not 0 or 1. Then down here we want to go through every frame again. So we get our value at this frame. If the value is less than 0.4, then here's my change. If the last value was not equal to 0, then I'm going to set a point at 0 with a curve type of none, which that's our new piece, and then I'm going to set the last value equal to 0. Otherwise, if the last value was not equal to 1, then I'm going to set a new envelope point at 1 with a curve type of none, and then set my last value equal to 1. And then we increment to the next frame the same as we did before. So the big difference is I'm looking to see what was the last frame that I set. If it was the same that I set before, if I'm trying to set a point at 1, and my last value was 1, I don't need to set it again. So let's see how this works. So here's the same event that I had last week. Starts at 0, goes to 243, comes down to 8, and so forth and so on the rest of the way across. Let's run the script. And now you can see when we look at the composite envelope, we have 1 point right here at 100%. As it comes across, we get our next point when we hit 40% velocity at 0% visible, so it becomes invisible, and then we come across until we hit this next point, which gets us above the 40% speed, and then the whole time it's above 40% speed we're visible again, and then we become invisible again. So instead of having 1 point for every frame, now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. So just by looking to see what is the last value that I set and comparing it to what value we're wanting to set, we can eliminate a bunch of the extra keyframes, and therefore we went from 1 for every frame down to 1 for every time it needs to change. So we went from I don't know how many to 5 in this particular case. So I hope you find this tutorial useful. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next tutorial. Please sign up at www.JETDV.com and subscribe on YouTube to get further notifications on when new videos are presented.